Hello again, my art friends. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm going to continue my video series on these fun little cut paper collages. And today we're going to be working on this one. All right, so I am again using my mixed media pad that I got on Amazon. I will put the link in the description below. It's a great little size. It's about 8 inches by 8.5 inches. And I really like working square. So for me, I love this size. And what we're going to do today is we're going to do another version of this, but I am going to use some different colors. I'd like to use black as my base piece, so I just cut a square or rectangle shape that will fit in here and give me some room on the edges because we're going to cut some stuff out. And then I've also pulled some purple, some red, and some yellow. Now this construction paper that I'm using is called Tru-Ray Construction Paper, and these are big 12 by 18 sheets. You can also get them in 8.5 by 11, but this is like a multi-pack, so it has some different colors. It also comes with packs of pastels and bright colors and metallics or shiny papers. So whatever you want. I will also put the link for this below in the description. All right, so I also have my handy dandy scissors and my glue stick. You could also use matte medium or any other glue that you have, PVA glue, whatever works for you. I have a hole punch and a 1-inch hole punch in case I want to make some circles. And I have a pencil, but I don't think I'll need that today because I'm going to do this a little bit more freeform on the page. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I want to do is cut some shapes out of this base piece. And I'm going to cut from the edges, and you can really cut out any shapes you want. It's totally up to you. I'm not going to go too deep in here because I want to put them off the edges. So I need to make sure that they're not too big that they don't fit around the edge of the outside. So when I put this on here, I want to be able to put this out here somewhere. So I just need to make sure that I don't go too big a space there. Maybe we'll do a round version down here, the curve. And I can do more of a circular one here. Again, it's totally up to you what you want to do. Don't go crazy though. I would keep these, kind of minimal, shapes, not too crazy. And then maybe do 4, or here I did an extra one, but really not more than like 1 on each side, so that you still have your corners available there. Okay, so you want to save all these little pieces because we're going to need those. You'll have to decide how you want this to go on your page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this down as the first piece. I think I like it like that. So I have my piece of palette paper over here that I use to glue the back sides of all my papers so I don't get stickiness everywhere. I've got little scraps of paper from previous projects that are kind of floating around too. And I'm going to try to get this sort of in the middle here so I have some room to add my pieces. I could put this piece back in here. And you know, you can mirror image where you took these out of if you want, or you can swap them and put them in some different places. It's totally up to you. This side's a little bit challenging because it seems to be a little shorter. So I think what I may do here, oh, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll use this piece because it's a little bigger. It looks like I got this just a little bit crooked on the page. I don't know if I can. Yeah, construction paper is too hard to pull off. I think I'll leave that one there. I'll leave that one here. I also have this little piece, which maybe I tuck in here. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is cut this piece down just because I have less space on that side. And I can either put it in this way or the other way. I kind of like it that way. This one too is a little bit big for that space. Because I didn't leave myself enough room. So I think what I will do, trying to decide if I like that piece or this piece up here better. It leaves this one kind of open. It's a little more problematic. Oh, I like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is just cut this one down just a little bit and just cover up that opening. Now, you don't have to. You could leave them open. You could put this over here. I like to kind of give myself a little space there to put things in. So I'm good with that. So now I'm going to glue these down. And with this particular one, you want to keep it simple. You don't want to get too crazy with too many little pieces and too much stuff. You can also come back and do doodling over it. If you like to do that, you know, come back and add lines and marks over it. I think I'm going to trim this one off too, just a little bit. Once I get this glued on, I'll go back to the previous one I did to show you what I mean. The idea is to sort of keep all of the edges touching. Now this one I'm actually going to float in here, and that one I'll float in there. But the bigger pieces, I'm trying to keep them sort of connected so it looks like it's one piece. Now this I could do this way, which also creates an interesting option. Or I could run it vertically like that. I think I like it better vertically. It's a little bit less expected and a little bit more interesting. Okay. So now we have those glued down, and now it's time to start adding other pieces. So the idea with the other pieces is that you just sort of cut some random pieces and put them on. And you'll see here I came back with a white paint pen and my black Micron pen and just added some sort of little marks and doodles on there. I did layer some of the smaller pieces, which are fun, you know, which is kind of fun and certainly makes it look a little bit more interesting sometimes and adds some depth. I'm going to glue that one back down. Here I had punched out some holes, and I actually liked the negative space for that. So I kept that as a piece. All right. So the next thing is to just cut out some shapes. Now I'm going to use mostly, I think, red and purple, and then I pulled the yellow just to give it a little pop of color, since these two colors values are fairly close. So I'm just going to start, and again, a trick to getting shapes symmetrical is to fold it in half and cut the halves. So I'm just going to do some little narrow sort of curved shapes. I didn't quite get those perfect. This side kind of went out, so I can trim that up just a little bit. Okay, so I cut out a whole bunch of pieces, and they're just sort of laying here. I just kind of threw them on here. I actually kind of like this as it is. I almost am tempted to just sort of glue the whole thing down as it is. But we're going to remove these pieces and now start working on this base layer. And again, you know, this is totally up to you on where you want to put things. I'm just trying to find stuff that feels sort of balanced to me. It's fun sometimes to just play with different shapes and see what works. I cut these little spirals, which were fun. I cut a few yellow pieces, but I wanted to use those sparingly. I was going to try to do this more in the red and the black. Well, that makes an interesting thing there. Maybe I'll do something similar over here using the corner. You know, don't be afraid to try different things. You know, look at some different options for layering things, and you can get really creative if you want. That's kind of fun. I kind of need to do something in the middle here. I do have these red dots that kind of mimic that, so I think those would be good. I have these long purple. I'm not sure those work. I have some curved pieces of the yellow. Maybe that could go there. I feel like I need to get more purple in here. Now, the nice thing about construction paper is that you can flip it over both ways. I'm gonna re-glue this. It was a little crooked. Try to get it a little more flat. Yeah. I was trying to debate on whether I wanted to put this one in there. Doesn't really fit. Maybe here. That one could go there. And again, I'm thinking about sort of triangular positions for spreading out color. So purple, 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 red, red, red. I really like these spirals, but I'm not sure if they work in here or not. Could maybe do it there and continue all of this and down. That's kind of interesting. I really feel like we need some yellow over here, but it's kind of already busy. So I think if I did yellow over here, it would have to be a small piece of yellow. Maybe even like a circle of yellow. So maybe what I do is actually punch out some small. My punch isn't quite working right. It doesn't punch completely through. But I could add, you know, some dots in the middle there. I could punch out a full circle. And cut it in half or cut it in a pattern. And do that on 1/2 of those. Really, there's no limit to sort of getting creative with this and cut paper. And keeping these as solids makes it a lot easier, I think, because you're not thinking about trying to match patterns and textures and all sorts of other different variables. You're really just focused on shape and color and trying to get a balanced. I think that'll work there. I just need to trim off this end. Sort of fit that curve. And then maybe I put these other dots. Nope, I lost the other one. I had two. Up there. Or they could be stacked in the red. So that may need a little something up there. Maybe one of these purple. I know I have a purple element there, but I think that's okay. It could mirror that, or we probably don't need that one. With the red going across there, I think that fills up that gap. Okay, so I think I like this composition. Again, I like the negative space. I like that the color's distributed. There's kind of some fun things going over here with this paper that I punched the red out of, so I've got that negative space. All right, time to glue the rest of it down. Now, I kind of freeform cut these so they don't all match exactly. I don't know if I like this little edge of black showing, so I could cut this back a little further so that it looks a little more intentional. Anyway, I find that these are fun, and you know, if you want to challenge yourself with this, you could add more colors so that you have more to work with. Or you could do it even with less colors. You could just do 2 colors, and it becomes a little more challenging from that standpoint. I haven't tried a version of this with just black and white and gray. That may be fun to do. Just do some different values so that you focus on learning how to create balance based on values. And I do like things that sort of hang off the edges. You know, so it creates some sort of negative spaces. Okay, so we're almost finished. We just have a couple little pieces to put down. Yeah, that one probably could have either moved over one way or the other. I don't like that it meets the edge there. Maybe there's something I can do with that. Unfortunately with, and I actually glued this on the wrong side, so I'm wondering if I can put it over here. Nope, so I need to glue the other side. The problem with the construction paper is, like, once you glue it down, it's pretty glued down. Where some of the other collage papers, they do lift up if they haven't completely dried yet. Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking I need to do something on those circles. Now, I could just draw on there. I don't like this little point sticking up, so I'm going to cut that off too. Make this a little more. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to add these in or not. I do like them there. So let's put them up there. I like the difference between the little dots and the really square sort of step piece over here. And again, these could be a little cleaner. My hole punch isn't perfect, but this is just a sketchbook, so I'm not, you know, going to be that precious about it. All right, I'll do a quick look to see if there's anything else I want to add. I do have a few of these other pieces left that were cut out. I don't really have a place for this long purple one. So I think I will leave it off. Now you don't have to use them all, obviously, but sometimes I try to give myself the guidelines of using all the pieces regardless. But I think I will leave it there. I'm not sure I like this little visual gap here, so I could cover that up. Maybe with one of the purple pieces. Do a little square. I mean, I don't mind having things that are big and small, but that little tiny piece right there really, really kind of stands out. Your eye just keeps kind of going to that. So, since it's really hard to pull pieces off, I will just add a little purple piece there. Okay, I think that's done. I'm going to let the pieces sort of set and glue on there really well, and then we can come back and doodle on it a little bit. Okay, so I cracked out some markers. I have some Posca markers, and I have a black, a metallic red, and a metallic violet, and then I have this vermilion red Artexa marker, as well as this thinner Micron marker. Now these have fairly fat tips on them. Unfortunately, I don't use markers a lot, so I don't have any of the sort of finer tip markers, but you definitely could use those. I thought the metallics might be fun though. It's always good to have a little sample paper to test them on. And I think I will just keep my mark making to a minimum here, because I like the design as it is. It's very graphical and kind of really, really bold. So it's kind of fun. So it's just any marks you want to put on here just to have fun, to sort of add a little bit of interest and doodle on it. It's totally up to you. Really, you should be able to complete one of these in like 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, the longest time you'll need is for cutting out the shapes. But once you've got those all cut out, it's pretty quick gluing them down and then just adding whatever doodles you want on there, or just leaving it as is. It's totally up to you, but these are fun little projects and I love doing these. And they are helping me as well work on my compositional skills. So they're great for that. Anyway, have fun. I hope you give this a try. See you in the next video.